Assalamu alaikum everybody. So in today's video I wanted to kind of give my thoughts on one of the podcasts that I've listened to from Richard Grannon, where he interviewed Brian Payne, who's a chaplain. Both of them I think are psychologists or something like that, and counselors and therapists, and so they were giving their views on spirituality, religion and stuff like that, and they agree that there are two sides to people, and there's the spiritual side and there's a psychological thing, and basically humans naturally need something to worship or something to basically do as a ritual or as a belief system, because we're kind of programmed like that regardless of where you are born or in what country you grew up in. And basically at some point they came to the common ground that psychology issues at some level cannot be resolved through strategy, therapy, or psychological whatever things. At some point you need to revisit your childhood, or maybe the culture you were brought up in, or the religion you were brought up in, and those things foundationally affect your moral decisions. They came to conclusion that that sometimes humans, according to data, 60% of humans who don't believe in God or don't follow any religion have a higher chance of suicide or drug overdose or anything like that. And so it just makes sense that people would pick some system to believe in. And there was an example of the Marines and stuff like that. And of course, in today's world, purely materialistic world, we don't recognize that side of ourselves, that we are a soul, we have a purpose, we have a divine, let's say, nature within us, some sort of, anyone can kind of call it whatever it is. In Islam we know this is fitra. So Brian, the guy who's a therapist and also a counselor and a priest, I think, or something like that, he's in a Mormon church, the Church of Latter-day Saints. I actually lived in Utah with them. I have a ton of friends who are Mormons. Some of the best people I've met are Mormons, so I have a huge respect for their culture. But at some point they said the way you find this religion or whatever is that you simply pick and choose. It's like a store. So you like chocolate, choose that. You like ice cream, you like vanilla, choose that based on your feelings, based on your values. And that to me is a fundamental flaw in this system, in this thinking process. And
you said about the need for dogma. So if we are fundamentally religious creatures, then we need ritual, even if the ritual is not rational. I'm sick of pretending that we're rational. And you can see, because people are miserable.
Yeah.
Non-religious people are the most miserable people on the planet. They're purely materialists. And of course they're miserable, because they're like, well, I've got, I guess, another 45 years of this crap to go through, and then I'll die, and that's it.
And I must be a horrible missionary for saying this, but I don't really care. Is that I don't really care if you're not my flavor. I am biased towards me being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but I want, and that's why I love being about a chaplain, is that I want people to go back to their roots, because that's where they'll find happiness. That broken child that grew up usually has, in that religious environment, usually has that answer somewhere. Not always, but usually is the way I see it. And unfortunately, a lot of these folks who ended up joining the military, for example, or even not just the military, just got older and moved on to something else, are still seeking something, honestly, and they haven't really stayed with their roots. And they sort of seem a little incomplete until they kind of come back to it at an older age.
Do you remember the faith that you grew up with? Have you ever considered like praying and then be like, no, my father was Muslim and he did this and he abused? I get all that, but could you as an adult revisit that faith? Because it's not just one thing. There's many different interpretations, and find one that vibes with you today and resolve through prayer, through those religious practices again, and see what happens. I've seen it work.
And to the point, for those folks who are afraid to go back to exactly where they're coming from, like when you talked about Judaism, Hinduism, Taoism, all of them, Christianity, there's so many different flavors of all of it. If maybe that particular flavor, you have too many negative connotations of it, maybe there might be another flavor that might be better for you. If that makes sense.
100% it does.
Yeah. But, I will say this, though, for those who aren't religious, and I always kind of say this, is that, that's what's interesting about Stoic philosophy, from the old philosophers, is that even though it's not looking up to divinity, for those who are looking for something and saying, well, that's not me, you know, I'm not, you know, there's no way there's God. I totally respect that. But Stoic philosophy is something that I think that those people should really be interested in, because it's a philosophy of seeing beyond yourself.
The guy even said, the Mormon said, like, I'm a bad missionary. Like, I should promote Christianity, especially the Mormon Christian faith. But I tell you that if you need to be Muslim, be Muslim. If you need to be Hindu, be Buddhist, anything that works for you. Because it's just kind of like you're looking for something to make you feel better in this dunya, in this world. But that's not the point of a religion. That's not how religion starts. The way you look at religion, because you need to have a faith in it, right? Like, I need to believe in Buddhism if I'm going to practice it. I can't just practice it because it's going to allow me to do something, and because I have a strict rules now and all that. Those rules are arbitrary if I don't believe in the main theology. And I don't believe in the main theology of Buddhism, as I don't believe in Hinduism. I definitely don't believe in Christianity, and I don't believe in all other systems, Stoic philosophy, whatever. So like, how are you need something that you will actually believe this is the truth. So that that process of building a belief, building a akida, the belief system in yourself, in something, that's a long process. It requires a lot of education, and it must be intellectual in the first place. It must be backed by reason, also then spiritual experiences, philosophy, whatever. So that's how Islam works as well. Like, it's backed by reason. There's only one God. There can be more because there will be contradiction in the nature. We have many arguments for God's existence. We have the spiritual experiences, we have the fitra, we have all these things. We have the Quran, which is preserved. Basics of Islam, which are very strong. They haven't been tampered with, as in other faiths. And Islam doesn't change. It doesn't change. It's not according to whether you like it or not. This is Islam, submit. That's the point of Islam. And so it's not like, well, maybe 2 years ago, I'm okay with gay marriage, but Islam says no, so I'm not gonna follow it. But if Islam is true, then me being okay with it doesn't matter. It's me who has to change my views, because I'm not basing my judgment in the truth or whatever, you know. And so that's the point. You'll never find this. You'll never find this if that's the way you're going about it, that works with you, your desires, your whims. It's final hour. Look where we are. What a crazy place. Nice. If you want strong faith, if you want something you know is the truth, of course I believe Islam is the truth, but if you want something like that, the way you study this or you build your foundation have to be different than, oh, there's many different interpretations of Islam, so I'm just going to follow what I like. This is not the best way to go about it, because you'll never be satisfied, because what do you like? Why do you think that's good? Basically, religion is supposed to transform you and your values, and it's supposed to conserve your values in something that's real, which is God, in something above, in something spiritual. It gives you many benefits. It gives you purpose in life. It gives you purpose after dying. It gives you purpose for everything. Plus, it gives you solid structure in your day, in your life. It gives you rules for marriage, for money, for all this, especially Islam, because it covers the whole society. I like Hinduism because I like the elephants. Therefore, I'm going to follow it. That's not going to work long term, because you know there are major flaws within just the basics. So, like, how am I going to convince myself this elephant god who, I don't know, or some other god who raped his own daughter, how that's a cool religion or whatever, you know, like, or there are not some man-made concepts, you know. So I think the question is, what's the truth? Not searching for religion. We all have this need to worship, that's true, and there's many research that even prove that children are being born with an instinct to believe in one God. All over the world, one God, not 20 gods, not 2 gods, not the Trinity of Jesus, not all that, just one God. And that's Islam. That's the only religion which matches this description. The way you look at religion is, you want to know the truth. Maybe the truth is not in religion, maybe it is in, I don't know, philosophy. But religion really is just what? It's a name for a value system based around an idea, which is usually thousands of years old based on some book or revelation that happened to someone. If you compare like Islam and Mormonism or Christianity, it's not the same, because they can't, some of the religions have a limit on what they can actually achieve. Some of them are viewed just as your individual kind of thing, not as something that should be the part of society and actually be implemented within the whole structure. So I think the question is, what's the truth? And I had these issues as these guys have, like these nihilistic thoughts and depressions and all that. And yeah, it was all cured, but it's not cured because I wanted to feel good, so I picked Islam. No, I hated Islam. I didn't want Islam. I didn't like the idea of being a Muslim. But that doesn't matter if you're honest and you're gonna look at the evidence and the truth of the Quran. If you're gonna look at the way the Bible was wrote or the other texts, you're gonna see like, okay, there's not much competition here if I want an authentic way to live. And how do I know Islam is the truth? How do I know this wasn't a lie of the Prophet Muhammad or whatever? There's explanations for all of this. Of course, there's many attacks, so the research takes like few years. Yeah, it's not just like I wanted Islam. No, it led me there because I'm always looking for the truth. So I guess the what I'm trying to say is, no, just decide on you want to know the truth and just look into many things and don't just vibe with what's good, what feels good, even though it's not based in any evidence or whatever. But just go somewhere where you know your foundation will be strong because you know this is the truth. You don't have to believe any. Like, I don't even believe this. I know. I have many things, many experiences, spiritual, physical, art, rational, logical, that I'm beyond convinced that that's the thing. And that gives you a level that many people don't have. And so then all these things will be cured, because psychology is just a separate issue at that point, because your foundation is built. And by the way, it also doesn't make sense from the Mormon's guy perspective, because from the Brian's perspective, because if he's a Mormon, he believes he has a doctrine of salvation, so he knows that all other systems are not gonna work. Like in terms of like what Mormonism preaches, it's the only way to heaven. There are no other ways, and that's every faith demands this, or every faith makes this claim. So technically, if you suggest like, yo, you can be a Buddhist, like what is he doing from his own mindset, from his own worldview? He's putting people in hellfire, because he's not trying to convince people that Mormonism is true, but or that he, you know, something like that to bring people there. No, he's trying to say like, just pick anything and it's gonna allow you to live a better life. But his worldview is beyond that. It's not about this life, it's about the next one. And if this other system is not going to lead to salvation in the next life, then what the advice is wrong. From his own worldview, he should be preaching Mormonism. He should be inviting people to be Mormons, to look at the book of Joseph Smith, or what's the name of the author, and to study it. That's what I would do. Like, hey, you have problems, then look at Islam. Look at Islam. I'm calling people to Islam. I'm not calling people to other ways, because I know those ways are corrupt, in my view. I'm not saying they can't people can't follow them. They can do whatever they want. I'm saying if you want something strong, go to Islam. You won't have any doubts after some time. If you want to just feel good, you can choose anything else, but you're gonna intellectually be paralyzed, because you won't be able to justify some of the things. By the way, I don't think the intention of that advice is bad. I actually think they both believe it's a good advice, especially the Brian, the guy. But I just think logically it doesn't follow. So I understand Richard's perspective, because I think he's an atheist or something like that, agnostic. So he doesn't really see that much of a difference between like Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, or Christianity. Just pick anything, it's gonna work for you. Just increase your spirituality in this systematic way of religion, and then that's gonna help improve your life and psychology and all that. I understand that from his worldview, it makes sense, but from the Brian's worldview, it doesn't make sense, because on his worldview, Mormonism is true, not all these other systems. So he should be preaching that. It's like me claiming you can just pick anything and you're gonna be fine. Well, I don't really believe that, so why would I promote it? You know, like if I was an atheist, yeah, like just pick anything and just you'll find, because you don't really have any you don't recognize spirituality, you don't recognize life after death. So of course anything works, it's all made up. But if you are someone who has a system, who has a value system based on religion or morality based on religion, you can't just say, hey, just pick anything. Yeah, that's not good advice, because your worldview is not secular. So that's just one inconsistency. Otherwise, the podcast was really great. So I don't know, I just felt like making this video because I see this point a lot, like just amongst the modern, let's say, people like Jordan Peterson or whoever is kind of like slightly looking into spirituality. So they recognize human beings need it. They don't like the idea of organized religion. Of course, they're turned off by that, even though, like, how else do you follow God? There's no way to do it other than organizing yourself in some sort of rituals or whatever. But besides that, they have this idea, it's called perennialism. It's actually a pretty weird idea, but basically it means that it doesn't matter what religion you follow, any religion will lead you personally to success. And on the surface it looks like a good idea, especially if you're coming from a modern secular background. Like, yeah, like, that's fine, you just pick anything. But if you like really dig deeper and you try to uncover what these religions talk about, like, it's impossible. Because, for example, in Christianity, you're only saved with Jesus Christ if you accept him as a Lord and Savior. So a Muslim cannot be saved according to the definition. Done. You know, in Buddhism you have different, you don't have even God in Buddhism. In Hinduism you have the reincarnation, and you have different you know, different ways, completely different theology of what it means to have a soul. And some things are overlapping, that what you do in this life has a purpose, and then in the next one you might end up as a cat if you don't behave correctly. But, you know, there's not much overlap within these religions when it comes to like the essential message, what it means to be human, what happens after you die, and all that. Of course, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism are coming from this one idea of hell and heaven, and basically following the prophets, all that. Yeah, but still, even the concept of salvation, the concept of God, is very different in these three religions. It's not the same. It's not the same to have a Trinity, or to believe in God with whom you can argue and win debates as rabbis do, or to have an all-powerful God who doesn't change, who doesn't make mistakes, who is perfect in all his attributes, who doesn't have a son, who doesn't have a daughter, doesn't need anything, he's beyond time and space, he's always been there, and he's the only thing that exists and will continue to exist after the universe evaporates. That's it. That's it. So it's pretty different definitions, you know. And the last thing I want to say is that Islam is a cure for nihilism and people looking for meaning and a purpose in their life, because it provides you with a clear map and a GPS in life. Anytime you're lost, you have a location. Location is heaven, Jannah. You know what to do. You have these this relationship of let's say everything matters, that what happens here, everything you do in this world will reflect in the next one. So you're kind of building your next world by doing good deeds and all that. So it makes every interaction, every thing in this world meaningful, because you're creating something in the next one. It's not meaningless, it's very meaningful. Also, the purpose of life is very clear. It's to build a relationship with God, to worship him, to call others to him, to just be in nature, be impressed with his creation, and just be in touch with God. That's all. That's your purpose in life. Nothing, not to be a basketball player or to make videos on YouTube. Just increase and get closer to God as you go along. That's your purpose. Easy. You're never gonna achieve it. What happens after you die? There's a long process, but essentially, you know, there's we know what's gonna happen according to the Quran, so you can prepare. And you don't have a free ticket in Islam. You still have to work a lot. So it's not like, oh, I just believe I'm Muslim, I'm cool. No, there's many things you have to do, but if you have a roadmap, you have a better chance of making it. And it's very practical in this world as well. It's very like rooted in reality. It gives you good morals and good values and good rules to obey, like praying 5 times a day, fasting, obeying your parents, you know, doing all these good things. And then on top of that, it can run societies as well. So overall, that's it. That's my pitch. But anyways, assalamu alaikum. And I hope it makes sense what I said. So, see you later.